To those who have remained, I thank you all for your pledges. Right now I have a Patreon at this moment, and as of this moment I shall be preparing for Pokemon Platinum Kaizo. Now, there is one tool I need above all else, the ability to add new Pokemon to boss battles. I need it for held items, customized movesets, customized abilities, IVs, and AI. The ability to change names or change portraits. For example, I was able to include Pokemon Trainer Red by replacing one unimportant NPC and giving an Easter egg of a team for a challenging and memorable battle. Red is such an icon in Pokemon history, and it pains me that Crystal Kaizo couldn't do him justice, so just to make up for that, he is transported to Emerald Kaizo, and he has his final boss team teased throughout the game. He is encountered 4 times, and it shows the tool's capability. Now, I don't know if I can add Red as a cameo again, but I do need to get the best tools available to modify Platinum. If you happen to know which is the best ROM hacking tools for DS games, especially Platinum, please let me know, because now I will discuss the thought processes that will go into Platinum Kaizo, and use my previous works as examples. We shall begin with the fundamentals of Pokemon itself, trainer battles. I separate the trainers into tiers. Obviously, there are the boss battles, including the rival. Mini bosses not included. You know how it goes. Full teams, tough tier Pokemon for the type. Progression of difficulty is key, making sure the next boss is harder than the previous, until the end is the ultimate culmination of what you went through, and adds a bit of something new. I go into the NPC tiers. Now, the next step down are the villain boss trainers. Team Rocket from Blue and Crystal Kaizo had notoriously tough OU Pokemon due to a throwaway line in Vermilion City Pokemart. I try to stick close to the text when designing teams. The 4 Rocket brothers stuck out to me, as they happen to be an extra unused space in the hex editor, so I gave these particular 4 full teams of powerful Pokemon. And of course, the last Rocket that was the final obstacle before Giovanni. And then there were the Team Magma and Team Aqua grunts. Compared to Team Rocket, they require a bit more big brain thought processes for teams. There are only so few, so we need to choose carefully. They were split apart in the story, so less battles against them are far between. Adding more grunts to the overworlds helps spaces out the teams and their importance to the story. Next were the content to fit each evil team. I had to upgrade from Zubats, Poochyena, and their soul signature Pokemon, and maybe a Baltoy or Whammer, depending on which team they are. I use my full biology classes for this, and anime and manga as reference. Let us begin with Team Magma. The problem is the overuse of fire types, ignoring the fact that they are magma, which is mostly molten rocks, not flames. Now, Macargo and Numel will be washed away pretty easily, so I expand beyond that. I use things from volcanoes and earth. Ground, rock, steel, and fire. All of them, coincidentally, are weak to ground. So we use some cave Pokemon to expand, Golbats and Crobats, obviously. But we can use some ghosts here. Will-O-Wisp users are a must. Finally, poison is a big factor from volcanoes. Where there is fire, there is smoke. Wheezing is the perfect Pokemon, along with the Ghastly line to populate those teams. Volcanoes explode, and so do Pokemon. Obviously, we got some explosive Pokemon to add here. We need more land-based Pokemon that can't swim. Important land-based stuff are plants. They need sunlight and earth. They help cover the water and ground weakness. Now there are the animals. Reptiles are strongly associated with heat. In that case, dragons, because sunlight is their energy source. They can go without food for a while, with sufficient sunlight. So we get some dragon types for Team Magma, with flamethrowers, obviously. Now for the rest of the land animals. Anything that is imposing and cannot swim is fair game. Anything that can swim can be expelled, with the exception of that one grunt with water and ice types. Outside of the sun, they favor dog Pokemon, due to the Mighty Anna usage in the anime, and throughout the games as well. So we got Houndour, Arcanine, Houndoom, and Ninetales, obviously. But let's go deeper than that. Manectric is a dog that can use fire moves. Granbull is a mean-looking bulldog that is intimidating, and has a variety of status moves. But nothing compares to the horror that is Smeargle. Belly Drum, Spore, Baton Pass, Superfang, Destiny Bond, and silly things like Sacred Fire and Aeroblast. Alas, its stats mean that it cannot show off, so I had to bump up the stats just enough, just so that the AI can show off the Smeargle sets. They're still fragile, but at least they can take one hit before they do something. Alakazams, due to the fox-like nature, can somewhat fit in with the doggos. Now we come here with some land-based birds, notably Dodrio, and with some exception, Altaria. They resemble as such. Finally are the devastating sun teams. Grass types that have the ability to chlorophyll and use status or just smash stuff with solar beam. In fact, many fire types and Pokemon can abuse solar beam. Underground Flashes is the official title in the map editor. See, I have seen Dark Rising, or Dark Writhing in one case, and Dozen states that the AI is notoriously stupid when it comes to preserving weather effects. The player must not have the ability to disrupt that, so Drought Ninetales, Sandstream Tyranitar, and Drizzle are forbidden for both the player and the AI. But weather only lasts 5 turns without them, and the Pokemon can just be killed before they have that one turn of setup. So we have indoor weather effects, justified by gym leaders and the caves where the mascots reside in. Team Aqua seems simple enough. Rain teams, thunder users, and the dual types that resist grass or electric. Now we can include some fishing Pokemon, like Muck, which is liquid pollution, ironically, and the Dragonair family, which get a lot of the moves, cover water types very well, and are versatile additions to Team Aqua. Dragonite gets thick fat because it is a chubby boy, and it simulates multi-scale. So only 3 regular weaknesses on a bulky marine pseudo-legend. So now we include Pokemon that can act as sailors or can use surf to round out the teams. Some steel types can be rain beneficiaries, but mostly water types. However, Slacking doesn't normally learn surf in the vanilla games, but sloths in real life can actually swim really well, so they get to be included. Ice types benefit more from rain than hail in Gen 3. They don't have that 100% accurate blizzard, and there's no permanent hail. So they appreciate the reduced fire weakness, the added power buff to like their water attacks, and sometimes thunder attacks. So what have we learned here? My thought processes on creating teams. Let's do the same for Platinum Kaizo. For a galactic energy-based team, I wasn't too impressed with the lineup. Expansion is needed, but to what? We need Pokemon from outer space. We need Roman gods to represent certain Pokemon. We need killer plants, bug, aquatic Pokemon, wildlife, similar to octopuses maybe. Most of these start off as high-tier unevolved Pokemon as well. Full teams will need to be in play here because 493 Pokemon is a lot. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn are the only planets represented among the galactics, and Charon, which isn't a real planet. So we gotta expand to Mercury, Venus, Uranus, and Neptune. Those will be the mini-bosses, elite galactic grunts among the rest. They're just galactic grunts with the names, basically, as mini-bosses. What's interesting is how to work up the weather Pokemon. That is for another time. For now, Trick Room and Gravity can be utilized. It fits thematically very well. Unless there are scripts that can create such things like a permanent effect, but that's unlikely. Now, we start with the Pokemon to fill out the rosters. Starting with Gen 1. Rock types for meteors, like planets, are pretty rocky. They're one of the few things that exist on lifeless planets. We have genderless Pokemon like Porygon and Magnemite. Fossil Pokemon is interesting enough, simulate like time-based things. Scyther, Pinsir, and Fairies. Oh, you can't forget the Fairies, even though there won't be a Fairy type. Spoiler warning. Exploding Mons, obviously. Gengar line is an extra-dimensional type of Pokemon, according to the wiki, and can use so many moves, such as Gravity, such as Trick Room, Hypnosis, Will-Wish, Confuse Ray, Destiny Bond, all that wonderful stuff. All that wide variety of moves. And Weezing can do fairly well as well. Psychic types, with the significant one being the Starmie line, because they are versatile enemies too, especially Starmie. Instead of the useless Krogunk, Glameows, and Wurmples as the stock Pokemon, we can upgrade to Gengar, Starmie, and Clefable lines, as they can utilize a wide variety of attacks. The mainstays can perform multiple roles with other Pokemon, rounding out the coverage and balance, where most Pokemon can only do one role. So our mainstays include Gengar, Starmie, and Clefable so far. Generation 2. That introduces evolutions, in particular Umbreon and Espeon, the Sun and Moon respectively. And we can include the Wobbuffets because I am a sadist and I hate humanity. What is interesting to note is that with Gen 2 and Gen 4 evolutions, we can include Pokemon from Cyrus's lineup for the Grunts, Crobat, Houndoom, Honchkrow, Gyarados, and a few Weavile with varying degrees of movesets. Not too common, but they can fill in the gaps, that's important. Oh, and Smeargle can do silly things like Spore and all that. We can add Gligar to the mix of mainstays. They are ground and flying types that look like bugs and are capable of multiple roles and can fill in those gaps. So, the mainstays so far include Gengar, Starmie, Clefable, and Gliscor. Generation 3 now has the wonderful Gardevoir line. We'll have to start with Kirlia because Rout's stats are way too low, really Magikarp tier low. Obviously it's too weak, but Gardevoir and Gallade are lineups we can add, and they sort of resemble the Galactic Grunts in a way. I think it could be the green hair and the uniform. There are more Pokemon we can add to the rosters as well, especially Lunatone and Solrock, which will be fairly common mainstays because they can do more than just explode. In fact, they may actually be the best rock-type exploders of them all, among other things, the Trick Room, the Hypnosis, the Will-O-Wisp, any silly sun tricks or anything like that, or some moon tricks, ice beams. Oh, and yes, of course the Metagross line will be available too, though I'm hesitant to add Beldum to this, because it's kind of bad. It shows up in Garbage Green. So the mainstays now are Gengar, Starmie, Clefable, Gliscor, and either Solrock or Lunatone, Gardevoir or Gallade, and the Metagross. So now, Gen 4 brings us the most significant of the galactic Pokemon, Bronzor and Bronzong. These will be more mainstays than even Metang if we need status. They have different abilities too, if I can alternate, but it turns out I can't, so you'll have to guess which will be the ability that stays. Drapion can also be a very important addition as well as the dark bug monster. So now we have Gengar, Starmie, Clefable, Gliscor, the Lunar Solar Rocks, the Gallade and the Gardevoir, and the Metagross and the Bronzong that can alternate. And now, with that, we have far better mainstays for better villains. We can move on with the gym trainers, and of course the experts and the cool trainers. They will stand out among the non-bosses, among the regular trainers, be comparable to maybe the mini-bosses of Team Galactic if need be. If there is, say, a Pokemon that a gym leader used to have, but it's too weak due to the power creep, well, the good trick is to use the gym trainers as extensions of the gym leader. I gotta bring up Poke Challenge's Nuzlocke of Garbage Green. He plans to make it a huge gym gauntlet, and one of those trainers nearly wiped him out. Giovanni didn't even come close compared to that cool trainer. That cool trainer had 5 strong ground poison and ground types, with a good AI, and put up a way better fight than even the boss, which helps raise the difficulty of the final gym, even if the gym leader himself is rather anticlimactic. I fully intend to ensure the gym leader is the strongest of the bunch though, while maximizing the other types and strats. The cool trainers and experts, if there are any in the gym, will be the mini-bosses. As in the overworld are surprise boss battles with top-tier Pokemon, even if they have 4x weaknesses. They can try gimmicky strats to keep things tense and interesting. Keep the minimum to 3 Pokemon for most NPCs, but the cool trainer and experts are 5 Pokemon minimum pretty early on. Progression of difficulty is a factor, but the ordeal I have are 493 Pokemon and every single one of them needs to be encountered. There are the low tier Pokemon that can be used by NPCs, though they expand the numbers of Pokemon based on how many trainers are available. Only after I listed every single Pokemon for every single NPC, only then do I calculate the level curve and the movesets. Now here comes some level curve balancing. There is one rule I try to apply to myself. Never ever grind. Even if I have to give wild Pokemon very close levels to the trainer levels, it helps save me time with the playtesting as well, and it keeps my team strong and balanced. One of my methods for the gyms is to use Pokemon with a full team type advantage, and balance teams to ensure the gym leader remains difficult to face. I test out the trainer movesets here, like the low-level gimmicky moves in the early game like Metronome and such, Pursuit and Quick Attack. Anything uncompetitive, show them off like at this point in the game. Some TMs can come into play here. No item spamming like super potions and hyper potions because the AI just isn't good when it comes to those plays and, well, it's tedious. At best, it just delays the inevitable. At worst, it just gives the player an opportunity to set up. So that means full play testing is around that point. And here's where I change up everything from the documentations. The documents I listed is the seed, but you never know what grows out of it. So changes and pruning seeds need to be done all throughout. And with that, we come to the boss teams. We finally go into them, which will use far more powerful Pokemon. Gym leaders will abuse dual types that can counteract the most overpowered things they're weak to. That's a good place to introduce the difficulty spikes like coverage, hazard, status, setups, counterplay, weather, and the strongest competitive hyper-offense teams that force the switches and adaptability. Then, there is the final gauntlet that is the Elite Four. And afterwards, yes, there will be a post-game to this. Yes, I will make sure I shall try to see if I can perform rematches, and that might take some time because there is a lot of post-game content in Platinum. It should be very interesting. But, alas, my time is up, and I must go. If you can support me, please support me on Patreon. Just general support. It's nothing to do with the game itself. That's not allowed. I do not own Pokemon. I just make hacks of them, make it entertaining, and make PokeTubers suffer a bit, because it's funny and everyone likes that.